Picture this. You're sitting in the boardroom, palms sweating, about to present what you think is your career-defining moment. You're waiting for the CEO and the executive leadership team to enter. You've prepared for weeks. Your slides are perfect. Your data is flawless. But 90 seconds in, you watch the CEO's eyes glaze over. By minute 5, they're all checking their phones. By minute 10, you realize you've just torpedoed your credibility with the people who control your career trajectory. I'm Mare Beyen, and in over 3,000 hours coaching senior leaders, I've watched brilliant executives crash and burn in these moments, not because they lacked expertise, but because they fundamentally misunderstood how to build credibility with C-suite leaders. But I've also helped executives transform from being invisible and intimidated to becoming trusted strategic advisors. And today I'm going to show you exactly how to make that shift. Here's the brutal truth. Most executives make 3 deadly mistakes when trying to build credibility with the C-suite. And these mistakes don't just hurt one presentation. They damage your entire leadership brand. Mistake number 1, they show up without offering real value that executives can't get anywhere else. Mistake number 2, they get so nervous that they go over the top in how they present, get overly dramatic, or they drone on and on and on rambling, or they have a difficult time speaking at all, and they seem timid and apologetic. Mistake number 3, they position themselves as task executors rather than strategic partners. I coached a chief of staff at a major tech company who was extraordinary at her job, meticulous, accurate, invaluable. But she was so terrified of presenting to the C-suite that she would literally hide behind her computer screen and look down while speaking. Can you imagine the executive presence that projected? Her fear wasn't just limiting her impact. It was actively undermining her credibility with the people who mattered most. The stakes here are real. Once you get this wrong, you risk being labeled as someone who isn't quite ready for the next level. But master these principles and you'll become the executive they can't make decisions without. The first essential principle, offer something of value, and I mean real value, not corporate fluff. The most difficult thing for any C-suite leader is getting genuine information from the front lines. Everyone's filtering, everyone's spinning, everyone's telling them what they think executive leaders want to hear. So when you walk into that room, be prepared to share with them what they can't get anywhere else, real information. It might be the employee sentiment about those company communications, the actual buzz about that new initiative, what people are really saying about the latest reorganization. Or conversationally, maybe it's your honest take on what resonated from the leadership offsite. My chief of staff client learned this the hard way. She was so busy trying to be perfect that she forgot to be valuable. Her breakthrough came when she stopped presenting sanitized data and started engaging people, asking them what mattered most and what she had prepared. She let them be in control, part of the conversation, determining the priority, which for them changes by the minute, instead of being hijacked by her nerves in a never-ending recital of numbers and stats. She began to relax because it bought her time to calm down in front of the room, and the presentation felt more like a conversation supported by a few slides instead of a long monologue where everything had to be perfect. The transformation was immediate. Instead of being seen as someone who just executed tasks, she could pivot to what mattered most in the moment, showing that she could think on her feet, bringing her to their level. She became their partner in strategy, thinking and acting at their level while providing expertise and at times drilled down on the data they needed to make those higher level decisions. Here's the thing. They're not paying you to spit out reports. They're paying you to provide expertise using that data to either diagnose a problem by providing insight or strategize a way forward. The second essential principle is to master strategic communication, and that starts with knowing exactly what one point you want to make. Don't bury it in the middle somewhere, and make sure you repeat it with supporting evidence throughout. Anything can happen in this kind of high-level presentation. Disruptions can occur, cutting short your presentation, or discussions can go long and cut short your time, or things can go off track midway and they turn to you and say, "What was your point again?" Be prepared to cut your 20 or 30-minute presentation down to 5 minutes at any point, or you will completely miss your opportunity. The number one communication shift when speaking to the C-suite is to be clear, be concise, and speak plainly. Don't beat around the bush and make them guess what you're trying to say. They just don't have the time. Also, don't be too deferential, don't be apologetic, and don't be overly bold. Just be direct. My tech company client learned this when her CEO started avoiding her presentations. She was brilliant, but because she was so nervous, she would ramble on for 40 slides when one slide would do. To ease her anxiety, we worked on bridging techniques. That's building a bridge to something she did know when faced with tough questions, instead of panicking. We also made her presentations conversational at the very beginning by literally saying, "I don't want this to feel like a presentation. I want this to be a conversation where you get the information you're looking for." The change was dramatic. Instead of dreading her updates, the leadership team started requesting them. Why? Because she respected their time and got straight to the point they needed to hear. Now, before I tell you about the third principle, if you're a senior manager who's been stuck and you want my help creating your personalized strategy for making the impression you want to make in high-stakes C-level presentations, using the exact framework I've used with Fortune 500 executives, then click the first link in the description to book your free strategy call. But that's it. Back to the video. The third essential principle, position yourself as a strategic partner, not a service provider. Here's the difference. A service provider executes on strategy, follows orders, and never looks up to the horizon. A strategic partner helps steer the ship. Strategy is simply how you're going to accomplish your goals or vision, how you're going to get where you want to go, and there's always multiple ways to get somewhere. So it requires decision-making, looking at options, resources required, timing, and risk versus gain. Start thinking that way and frame your communications that way. When you present to the C-suite, don't just bring them solutions, rather bring them strategic choices. Give them the options, the trade-offs, the resource implications. Let them make the decision and make sure they have everything they need to make it intelligently. My chief of staff client's final breakthrough came when she stopped presenting, "Here's what we should do," and started presenting, "Here's the situation. Here are 3 ways we could approach it. Here's what each option requires, and here's my recommendation based on our current priorities." Suddenly, she wasn't just reporting, she was advising. 6 months later, she landed a bigger role at a larger company. Now when I see her posts on LinkedIn, she's front and center at every company event, confident using her voice and comfortable in her authority. She transformed from someone who hid behind her screen to someone executives seek out for strategic guidance. The shift isn't just about what you say, it's about how you think. Stop seeing yourself as someone who implements other people's decisions. Start seeing yourself as someone who helps shape those decisions. That's when you become indispensable. Here's what I want you to do right now. Think about your next C-suite interaction, whether it's a presentation, a one-on-one, or even just a hallway conversation. Ask yourself these 3 questions. First, what unique value am I bringing that they can't get anywhere else? What frontline intelligence or genuine insights do I have that would actually help them make better decisions? Second, what's one clear point I want to make? And can I communicate it directly without rambling or being overly dramatic? Am I prepared to cut my presentation from 30 minutes to 5 minutes if needed and still deliver my core message? Third, how can I position myself as a strategic partner by presenting strategic choices rather than just solutions? What are the options, the trade-offs, and resource implications I can give them to make intelligent decisions? The executives who master these 3 principles don't just get promoted, they become the advisors that C-suite leaders can't make decisions without. They become indispensable. So now you have 2 options. You can take everything I've shown you in this video and try to build credibility with the C-suite executives on your own, or you can click the first link in the description and book a complimentary strategy call where we'll look at your specific situation, the organizational context, the key players, the strategic opportunities, and create a clear roadmap for your advancement.